got a quick tech tip deal for you. One of my friend's cars, they had an issue with it running rich and loading up and stuff, so
it was
we're
70.
gonna rebuild the carburetor. So this is a video on rebuilding a Holley, probably any 4-barrel, they're pretty much all the same. This is a double pumper. So right away I see what the problem is, because see how that's all wet right there? This is all dripping. Alright? So I got the carburetor off. I figured I'd give you a video on it. If you look at the bottom of the carburetor, she's been backfiring a bunch of times.
Yeah.
See, that's all black?
Yeah.
See it dripping? Look at it dripping. Alright, see it? I'm not even touching nothing. It's dripping. And it's off the car. So what happens is, here, look in there. See that right there? This bowl, see how that's dripping? I'm not going to open the thing, but see how that's wet in there? I don't know if you could see in there.
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay, so if you shake this around a little bit, right now there's nothing in it because it's starting to empty out. The bowl, the height of the bowls are too high, and they're probably one of them stuck. That needle and seat in there is probably got crap in it. 9 out of 10 times. All right, so with a Holley 4-barrel, just so you guys know, and this is for you with this car also. If you, this is on the car. The fuel that we use today, if you're using pump gas, has all that ethanol in it. It absorbs a lot of moisture, and then it corrodes everything in here. So if it sits for more than a month or something,
without running it,
right, that's when you start having problems. These carburetors run great as long as you keep using them. So this is the trick. When it's on the car, okay, a 4-barrel, 2-barrel, right? When you're accelerating, right, you can see the gas is that first shot of gas. It comes out. It looks like it's dirty, right? So now you're only driving on this much gas. That's a lot, okay?
Right.
So the back bowl, the gas that's in that bowl in the back, hardly ever comes out of it.
That's wide open throttle.
Right. I mean, you'd have to go wide open throttle for that gas to come out of that, okay? And you don't do that much unless you're at the track. So what we do is, you start the car up, you're on this side of the car, right? Just hit the accelerator a few times. And then what that does is that squirts fuel out of here into the car, right? And if you just open this like that, right, you'll hear the car, vroom, vroom, right?
Yep.
And it gets the fuel out of the bowl.
Just circulating
Just circulate some of that fuel out of there and get some fresh fuel in there.
Okay.
All right? So that's one thing. And now what we're going to do is this thing, because it has no choke, so what happens is you go to start it and it'll backfire because it doesn't have enough fuel. So technically you really need to put a choke on these, okay? Whether it's an electric choke or a manual choke or whatever. Because that black like that, that's from it backfiring up through the carburetor. That's why that's all black and nasty inside there.
Yeah.
And what happens when that happens, when the carburetor backfires up, when the engine backfires through the carburetor, okay, there's a hole right here where the power valve is.
Right.
And I can guarantee you I'm going to take this off and the power valve is going to be blown because it pops it. And now it's always running rich. Okay? So I'm going to set the camera up right here. I'm going to take this apart. I'm going to show you how we take it apart. And then I'll show you all the little intricate parts to it. And try to explain most of it to you. And then we'll put it back together, put it back on, get it running, make sure the timing's good, and it should be fine. Okay?
Right, this is a 70.
I believe so.
Yeah, 70 Mach 1.
Yeah.
Nice car.
Alright.
So we'll get it running right. We'll be having fun with it again.
Alright, first things first. Fuel line. This is called a single feed. Okay? Single inlet, dual feed. Single inlet, dual feed. Street car, it's great. If you're going to build a race car where you're going to be changing jets all the time, what you want to do is from your regulator, you want to run 2 separate lines. Okay? Once this is set, you're pretty much good. But on a car that you're going to bracket race or you're going to you know, you're gonna race the car, you're always playing around with jets, you wanna have 2 feed lines. And I'm gonna show you why. Because when this is on the car, mounted in the car, you need to get a 1-inch wrench, okay, on this socket right here on this part. And 9 out of 10 times, there's not enough room around here to get that, or this. Okay, now this is a small block Ford. Actually, it's a big block Ford, 351. All right, so it's got somewhat room, but as you can see, it's hard to make this work because it only goes on in one direction. That's one of the things that I don't like about Holleys, but a lot of times they make this nut where it's a little bit deeper, and then you could get the fitting on here. So another thing is, you're gonna race the car, you put little extensions on here that have like a 45 on it, and then you'll be able to get the lines on and off a lot easier. So taking these off, right, actually becomes a pain in the ass because, like I said, you can't get the wrench really on it. So when that's one of the reasons why you got to take it out of the car to get that off. Okay, and then I'm going to get this off. I'm going to take the bowls off. Okay. Okay. So now the feed line will come off. And the reason you need the feed line off is because you got to get the bowls off. That's why I like them when they're separate, because you could take them off right in the car. Like if you were going to do this job at the track or something, you wouldn't even have to take the carburetor off. If you had the dual lines, you could pop the bowls off, drain the fuel out. Okay, they make a little, you could use anything you want, but they make this little cup, like a little cup like this. This is in the car. You just take one of the bottom bolts out, put the cup on it, right? And you can just make it go right into the cup. All right? All right, so we're gonna start with the front bowl first. 4 bolts, 5/16, okay? When you crack the bottom one loose, let's say this was in the car. Right? I'm gonna do this over here. Once you take that bolt out, all right, you could just drain it right into this cup. And this cup usually holds enough for 1 full bowl. All right? Now you saw the color of that fuel coming out. I'll show you what it looks like in the back. Okay? I'm going to drain them both for now just to get the fuel out of it. Again, if this was in the car, you stick it. Now you could see that one already had like, it had that gold color to it right away, like turpentine. All right. Okay. They have little washers on each one. You gotta make sure you put those back on. All right, so here's what the washer looks like. Okay. So you got to make sure you don't lose those. Sometimes they end up sticking to the bowl, like that one just did. Alright, so we got those. We're going to replace all this stuff anyway because we bought a brand new kit. Rebuild kit, Holley. Rebuild kit. This has probably never been touched, this carburetor. Let me get a screwdriver to pry that open. So basically you're just going to pry on this, pop that off. Yeah, maybe it's been done. They don't usually come with these blue gaskets. Alright, so you're going to take the gasket off. Get my glasses on, but I can already see the power valve is blown out. Okay, so if you look real close, I don't know how good you could see that, but inside that power valve, let me see, really can't see with the camera. that diaphragm, it's a rubber diaphragm, when it pops, so when you get a backfire, it pops that and stretches that out. So now there's no more vacuum. So how this works is power valve, the vacuum of the engine controls this valve. Okay? So when there's vacuum here, it opens up the power valve. So now what happens is that thing's all stretched out so it doesn't work. And what happens is it actually runs so rich because it's open, okay? And it just keeps making the motor like flood. Now this is a 6.5 power valve. So what we're gonna do is clean all this stuff off as we go. Okay, all this got to be cleaned off. I'm gonna pry this piece off. Okay, there's your float. Those are your two front main jets, gaskets, and you could see it, like the bottom of this. All right, I'll get a clean paper towel. I'll show you what builds up in there. So you got a clean paper towel, right? And if I wipe the bottom of this, see what I'm saying? That's all crap that builds up in the fuel. So that actually looks like kind of like a little rusty kind of stuff. So it might even be in the tank, I don't know, in the lines. So we're gonna clean all this out, okay? Same thing with the back. So I'm gonna take the back apart and then I'll show you what's going on with that. All right, so the back bowl, right? Show you the same thing. All right, clean rag. Even worse, okay? So most of this is from not being used, believe it or not, okay? All right, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna change, or we're gonna take this apart. I'll get all the parts out in a minute. These are the accelerator pumps, okay? So when you step on the gas, it squirts fuel out. And this one is jammed. Okay, that's what the accelerator pump looks like. Now this one's dried out. Again, this is from not using it. Okay, that's the spring. And then there's a little diaphragm in there. This one's fine. Okay. That's the metering block. And it has, let me see what size jets it's got. In a second. Same thing with this side. Okay, that's the secondaries. Double pumper, so it has two accelerator pumps. If it was a vacuum secondary or a single whatever, it would have one accelerator pump and then a vacuum circuit in the back. Same procedure on everything, just that the back doesn't have jets like that. Some of them have like a little metering block that works. So this is the same thing, vacuum, diaphragm, spring. You can see all the crappy dirt in there. I don't know if you can see that, but all right, watch, I'll show you. So clean, nasty. Okay, same thing. We're gonna clean all that out. What's up, Ron?
Hey, John.
My buddy Ron is here today, helping out.
Hello, everyone.
What's up? So I'm doing a quick rebuild.
Yeah, it looks good.
All right, I'm gonna get the kit out. Same thing, this has to come off. I'm gonna take the base plate off. Normally you wouldn't even have to do this, but being it backfired so bad, we're gonna change that. All right, let me get the kit out and get the gaskets all out. All right, so the base plate has 6 bolts in it, okay? 6 little Phillips head bolts in it. Same thing, let's pry it off. Okay. There's a gasket under here. We're going to replace the gasket. Now, when you get these kits, they come with multiple gaskets for different carburetors. You're going to match them up, make sure they're correct. Okay. So we're going to clean this off. All right. The main thing is you want to keep everything clean. Okay. Make sure nothing binds, right? Right? Okay, that's that. Gonna look for the right carburetor gasket, the base gasket. Called the main body, whatever gasket. So like I said, they give you 1, 2, 3, 4 different ones. So you're just gonna look for the correct one. Which is this one. Okay, match up the holes, make the holes match up. Alright. And set that down on there. Alright. Okay.
I'm just gonna run the air hose under. Yeah. Yeah, don't open it too much. You need to cool it. It's nice and cool in here.
Yeah, you're not using the hoses, right? You just finished with
You
the
can
hose?
use the other one. Hook me up another hose.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll pull you away from the light here. I gotta strip that other deck out.
Like that. There it
Yeah,
is.
all my stuff's buried. My welder, I can't even get to any of that stuff. So until I get set up,
Okay.
it's easier to come over here.
Give me the key so I can go get that other one. Get the gasket.
Yeah.
So what happened to Ray? I thought he was gonna mud that up.
He is.
He was. He was over here the first time.
I know.
Yeah, so there's this. You got to be real careful with these gaskets. You see that one hole? Not even punched out. That's not good. All right. That's why it looked different. Okay, so that goes there. main body back on. Make sure everything lines back up. Alright. Like that. Put the 6 bolts back in there. And just cross tighten them like anything else.
I'll wait till you're ready, then I'll turn the compressor on for a little.
Alright, so that's your main body gasket. Now what we're going to do is, these are done. Now they give you enough gaskets for all the, everything else in here. Okay, so these two little diaphragm, pull these out, make sure nothing's stuck in there. These get pulled through like that. And then you need to snip off this extra edge because or else it'll hold the float up. So you pull this thing through from the bottom, pull it in, but then you need to snip that little tail off because or else it'll hold this up. See it? Alright. Okay. Same thing on this one. Make sure that the pieces come out. Blow everything off. Put the new one in, like that. You pull it in from here till the knot comes through the hole, and then you cut the little tail off. Okay? That's done with that. Next thing, I'm just going to do one of these so I can show you how it works. A needle and seat. It's got a flathead screw, a washer, it's got a locking nut or a set nut, whatever you want to call it, with this. Alright, and then the needle and seat is in here. So this nut has a slot in it, and that's, and the needle and seat has a slot in it, and that's how you turn it. Okay, counterclockwise raises the bowl, clockwise lowers the bowl. And that's your needle and seat. Okay? And that's these things, if you got any little thing stuck in there or they dry out, you start flooding the engine out. Okay, so I'm going to clean this stuff up. Now these have to be set with the car running is the best way to do it. We set them down low, right? And then you start the car up and slowly raise it up and you check inside this sight bowl for the right height. And I'll show you that when we're getting to that. All right, let me clean these up. I'm going to change the other one, and then I'm going to show you putting it back together.